So yeah, final 30 days. Yeah. So anyway, Julia, try that again. Damn it, I missed my happy month there. Final 30 days challenge where you're trying to put your final burst of speed, blast 250 meters of a 5K run. This is the time to buckle down, put it all in, and try to find as much time each day to put into it. If you do that, I will get your resumes out by this time next month. That is my goal for you. No later than the end of March. That's the goal. As long as you follow through this, your resumes will be out next month and you'll be starting interviews. All right? As long as you can follow through these challenges I'm going to give you today. So starting today, once a week, you need to be adding a project that is resume worthy. At least one. I say it's possible to do 2 and 3 by doing one 2-day project, doing 2 2-day projects and 1 3-day project. If you do those, you'll have 3 projects a week you can add to your resume. And very easily, because we really want to have a minimum of 6 projects in your resume. I'm going to pull one up right now, actually. Hold on. I want to pull something up. Do I still have it open? I do not. Dang it. Crap. Hold on. Tab.
Cliff, were you just about to hum the SpongeBob theme song?
Not that I know of.
From SpongeBob? It literally sounded like you were about to. And it's kind of what I hum.
Maybe, but then again, I thought somebody's, what was it? What's the word I'm looking for? Not Ninja. Power Rangers was Kim Possible once, so it's very possible to mess up stuff. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's weird. But let's up. So yeah, here we go. Full screen. Share. Hop over. Resumes. So these are the cohort 8 morning groups. Some of these guys have resumes you need to update. This is the pattern we're looking for. This is the format you're going to be doing your resumes in. Education. This is the thing Arnell talked about. Was that yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday.
Yep. Skills. Now, again, the reason why we do it in this format, we're doing this because of the scanning system, the machines that the companies are using to scan resumes now before a single human sees it. When you send in your resume, you're not doing what we used to do, where we handed it to a human and we had to make it look pretty to appear the human on it. We're sending our resumes into machines that scan our system for keywords to see whether or not it passes a certain score of what the company's looking for. And so this thing is designed to really just crush those scanners. 1, make it easy for the scanner to go through, and 2, make it easy for the scanner to find the keywords it wants. Now, John over here has the high level of projects. What I will pull up is this one. This is more accurately, this is the minimal on the projects we're looking for. 6. We need 6 projects that have decent skills on them, have a good repo with a good README on it, and is showcasing what you can build, that you'll be happy to talk about during an interview. But this is really what we want each and every one here to have. This one right here, we want 12. If you can get up to, if you can get 12 projects on there, this is really what you're shooting for. And really what you want to have at least 2 or 3 of these, about 10% of them, or whatever you say, like 20% I would say. Yeah, 20% of them should have a demo link. So get them up on Heroku or something like that. That's going to be a real powerful layer. But one of the things I want to make sure you're noticing here on these, none of these are doing the touch base on what the project is, are they? The name tells me what the project is. This is focused on the frameworks, methods, and systems used to build this project, right? The explanation of the project is in the README under the repo, because again, that's what the human wants to read. The machine doesn't need the description of what the project is. The machine can't understand that. The machine's going to read these items and look for keywords. How many times did you mention Java? How many times did you mention Spring? This isn't that John admitted he didn't do on purpose, but he has both OOP, the abbreviation, and over, where do you put it? Right here, the written out version of object-oriented programming 2, to make sure that both are triggered. And I told him to keep it like that. Spell it out once, then use the abbreviation from then on forward, so to make sure that you at least, if the machine is looking for OOP or object-oriented programming, you get both. So they're now not, we're never going to actually expand on JWT. JWT is never looked for as JSON Web Token, but you do hear people say object-oriented programming. You'll actually get that spelled, that actually written out at times. So be aware of those items, but yeah, that's a key item there. Last up, finish with experience. With the experience, the thing I'll say, you're looking for me 2 to 3. And again, a focus here, I don't want a list of your responsibilities. Give me a gist of what you did on the job, but really more importantly, any accolades. What are things you did that impressed them? What were your achievements at that company? What did you do to impact that company? Did you earn any awards while you were there? Did you do anything that honestly that they earned, that they gave you a raise for? Don't mention the raise, but mention what you did that earned that raise. What was that impactful thing you did? Did you make anything better for the company? Did you improve the policies at all? Did you improve how they do their job, make money? Those are the things you want to include. This is not your work. This is not your work history. That is a key component of the experience section I need to stress. Experience is not work history. If you have a gap, don't worry about it. If there's an unemployed section, don't put that in there. This is where you're identifying the jobs that have the skills that are best suited to this company, where you're showcasing your ability. That makes sense? If they want your job history, they'll give you a paperwork that has that on there. Then you fill it out then.
What if we have nothing that has to do with,
like, again, find a way to do it. I think I gave you guys the story of how I took my Friendly's ice cream server experience and sold it to GameStop as a retail experience. I'm pretty sure I did that story, right?
Not with my class, but maybe with the class that we just merged with.
I'll do a quick version of it.
All right. I'm going to say another time, but yeah, up to you.
Quick version of it, because this is key. This is important, because you need to start thinking of those items now. You need to start thinking of how you can sell yourself regardless of the experience. So I wanted to get out of food service. I wanted to get into the retail because I wanted to work for Game Store. I needed to show them I could sell. That was their key thing. That's the key skill that they needed. So I remembered that while I was there, we had an upsell contest. The upsell contest was adding an upsell of anything to its item. Now, the waiters, the servers, they had it easy on this challenge. They could add appetizers. They could change French fries to onion rings. They could add a dessert item to the adult menu items that didn't come with a free one. They could add nuts to their ice cream. They could change a kid's drink to a shake, all these things. Multiple ways that they could upsell. Me at the ice cream service counter, all my opportunity was nuts. I could add nuts to sundaes. That was all I could do to do an upsell. Now, luckily for me, they didn't count the value of the upsell. They just counted the quantity of the upsells. How many upsells did you do? So my job, all I did was every single person I said, hey, want nuts on that? And 9 times out of 10, they said yes, because most of the time people didn't realize that it was an extra, I think it was like 50 cents or something like that to add on nuts. Most of the time when they found out, they didn't even care. They didn't even notice it. But if they did, either the manager took it off, we left the nuts on, or I just took 50 cents on my tip. I didn't really care. It was 50 cents. And I was actually really good at there. I usually ended up with dollars worth of tip by the time I left, because people really liked me at the counter. That's why I actually never went to be a server, because I actually hated serving and preferred the ice cream, because I actually made decent tips there and I got paid normal wage. Servers got paid that server wage, and I was like, screw that. Give me my normal hourly rate and I'll take ice cream tips. It may not be as much, but at least know what I'm making every week. So I was fine with that. But I actually ended up winning that competition, which I will warn everybody, I'll let everybody know, the servers hated me for like a month after that, because they got reamed that a ice cream person beat them on this competition. It's like, you guys have tons of opportunities upsell. How did he beat you? So they were not happy with me, but the management was very, very happy. And I was able to use that as a proof that I could sell. That I can upsell. I was able to ask, I asked. I didn't make a big deal about it. I just made sure that every single person, I asked if they wanted it. That was it. That was the main purpose. And that's one of the key items of selling, is just you ask the person, let them decide. You're not deciding with your wallet, you're deciding with theirs. Yeah, I know. I knew that the game company I was working for, they had, similar to what GameStop has, the membership award thing. I knew they had. It's like, I'm not deciding whether or not I want the membership. They need to decide it. So I'm just going to tell them what it is, what they can get out of it, and whether or not they say yes. That's it. So that was the main thing there. And I was able to use my food industry experience to prove that I was a retail employee, that I could work retail. And so that's what you can do too. There's a lot of skills in jobs that are parallel, even though you're switching industry. There's the interpersonal skills. How do you work with people? There's the problem solving. What do you do in your company to solve a problem that was outside the box, that something came up and you were able to help figure out a solution to it? Those are things that you can bring up during that interview. And again, Just, are there any things you did to just make the company better? That just shows them that you have a value-driven mindset, that you're always trying to make your company better and your job better. So those are things you can do for those kind of for the non-tech companies. Just trust me, we had one student put on his resume that he worked at a tea shop. That was fine. He worked at a place that served tea. And another one he put on his resume that he's a DJ. So we can find that any industry, you can find the skills in that job that can be parallel with the company you're going towards. So, but those are what we're going to be working on. Those come down the line, but we want to make sure the projects are started. So every week, what we're probably going to be doing is on Thursdays, I'll be asking you guys what your plan is for the week, what kind of project you're trying to build. What my good challenge for you for this first week as part of the 30-day challenge for the project side of it is to find a 1-hour project video on YouTube. There's a ton of these people that build a project in a single hour. It's a 1-hour video, you watch it, they build a whole project. Find one, watch through it, and see how do they do it. Taking in mind that there's probably an hour or two of time outside the video where they are planning it. So when I say an hour per project, it's an hour of build time, keeping in mind that they probably spent 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hours coming up with the project and designing it and getting the project plan in place. Then they did 1 hour to build it. That's what you guys, because if you guys can get those kind of projects, you could easily fill out your resume. And that's what we're looking for. Let me bring up that resume one more time, actually. What you'll see on here is a lot of repetition with some of the items. You'll see Discord, MongoDB, where are the other ones? You'll see React multiple times. You'll see Java multiple times. You'll see a lot of things repeated where each and every project, though, has at least one thing that is unique to that project. And a lot of times that's all you're doing with these. Each project, you're just trying one new thing while using the already previously known items as a supplement and as a way to kind of work out those already known items as a way to then learn a new item. So you're bolstering your knowledge on something you already know, just making it better known because you're just exercising it, but using that items to then learn a small extra item that you just need. That make sense? Good. So that's the first item. 1 project a week, starting now. That gets you at least 4 projects by the end of the 30-day challenge. That means you already have to have 2. But on top of that, you have, any of the previous projects you already worked on, you have potential to use those. So if you did a dev connector that you went above and beyond on, you can reuse that and just add a little extra to it one weekend. If you went above and beyond with any of the Java little OOT challenges we did. So Blackjack, actually, I think that was on his resume. Yeah. John over there had his Blackjack challenge on his resume. He actually put that there because he did really good on it. So he put that one in to show algorithmic thinking, algorithmic processes, and OOP principles. That one was really, really well OOP designed. So he used that one on his resume to show I have a strong OOP-centric mentality. So that one go on there, as long as it does show that and it's your own original work. I was gonna say, the capstone project you're about to work on next, that's an item that's already on there. So with the 4 and the capstone project and 1 other project you worked on, you have the minimum. That's my main reason why I'm saying 1 project a week. You just need your capstone project and 1 other project, and you have the 6 minimum you need. But that's what I'm also saying. You should challenge yourself to try to get 2 a week. That's going to get you as almost to the 12. It's going to get you to, that's going to get you to 10. That's going to look good on a resume, right? You go in, there's 8 things on your resume. There's 8 projects there that have been built in the last 30, and most of them have been built in the last 30 days. It's going to blow them away. They're like, what does this guy do? We should be paying them to do this for us. But he's doing it on his own, or she, we should be bringing them in for us. They should be doing that for us. We can pay them and they'll do it for us instead. That's the first level of the challenge. Second challenge, make sure you're doing your tweets. I haven't been pushing on it recently. So if you let it slack, since it's the last 30 days and you're going to be going to interviews, you want 30 days worth of tweets showing code on your Twitter and at least a nice 30 green blob on your GitHub. So if you've been bad with those recently, this is your final stretch. Push it out. Make sure you're getting tweets once a day and a green square once a day for at least the next 30 days. Challenge yourself on that. Hold each other accountable. I recommend getting a buddy system going. Find 1 or 2 other people that can hold you accountable. That if they notice you're not doing something, they can call you out on it. That would be a recommendation I would say. Those are my challenges for you. That's the 30-day challenge. There's going to be a couple smaller items added in later on, which is going to be, like I said, building the resume, and we're going to do a job search exercise. But those are going to be near the 15-day mark. Once we get halfway through, that means we're done with all these self-teaching lessons. That's going to be next. We're going to do the resume build. You guys are going to build your resume as it is, and we're going to do what's called a job hunting exercise. Because I did want to make sure it's clear, you guys aren't required to work for a company that we are partnered with. We have the companies we're partnered with. We've mentioned eMoney, we mentioned Virgin Post, we mentioned Citizens. We have others that we've worked with before as well that we have connections with, but you are not obligated or required to work at those companies. We may tell you you're required to interview at them, but that might be because you need to practice the interview. You need that experience, but you're not obligated to take a job at any of the companies we are partnered with. So what we have you guys do is we have you guys do your own research on a couple companies that have a job posting out, that then you also learn how to research those companies. We talked about stalking companies before. You're going to be challenged to research and stalk a couple companies. I will then also research at least one of the companies you put on your job hunting search. And the challenge will be, can you research your company better than I can research it? Or am I going to show you things? I just did that with a morning class today. That was their exercise today. They each found 3 companies, researched them, sent them to me. I picked one out of each of them, researched the companies myself, and unfortunately, I found stuff that I found more than each one of them found. None of them beat me. But the benefit is they all learned better ways to research these companies. That's the benefit. They all learned better ways to research these companies, and these are companies that either while we are getting you to go through these companies we're partnered with, you actually be allowed and actually pushed to also potentially apply to these companies as well. So that's kind of that reason for this item, that you are not obligated to work with one of the partnered companies, and we'll have backup companies ready in case one of the partnered companies don't work. So there are safety nets for you guys as well. So if anyone's been wondering, is there enough jobs at Citizens? Are there enough jobs at eMoney or Virgin Pulse? We don't care about that. That's never been the only job you can get. We will help you get a job anywhere. So hopefully that will have everybody here feel a little better on that. They're like, oh, good. I was concerned that there wasn't enough jobs at Citizens. They might not have enough places. That's not the only opportunity you have. We're giving you the skills to get a job at any tech company. Sound good? So that's the 30-day outline. That's what we're going for. That also means I'm going to be a little more critical of you guys to be asking for showing me of things you've been building, things you've been working on. So once a week, I'm going to be asking you, what do you have a project planned? What did you build last week? So be ready to show those, showcase those things. So we're going to be starting to hold some of you guys accountable to that. So make sure you're putting that time aside and you're getting those items. All right. All right. Final project. Let me show you what this looks like. Let me pull it up, actually. That might help first. that. That's not it. That's the old one. Here we go. Here it is, capstone overview. 2021. All right. Got it. Share screen. Share. Here we go. All right, everybody. So here it is, capstone design. Insights in the market. All right. So this is something you can look at later on if you want to. This is not the important item. The important item of this is the required pieces, is what you're going to build. Why is the title not here? Did I find the wrong one? This is the, here it is. Where did I come from? That's weird.
Bernetti's
is an option. It's a microservice big data application. So Java advanced items. So examples, multi-threading, make sure you're deploying the solid principles, and at least one design pattern which you want to try to get into it. We recommend React front end, but the front end is kind of a minor level item. It's not required to finish the project, but if you want to have a full project, having a React-based front end is going to really sell the project. The focus, of course, is the back end. The big focus on this item is this guy. So Postgres or SQL, a SQL database is required. MongoDB is a secondary database. If you actually can build a microservice architecture that has two databases. I'll explain what microservice is in a second. Big data is the key item here. Because this is going to force you guys to really pay attention to, are you thinking in a professional sense of how do you metrics your ability? How do you track what you've done? How do you track improvements? How do you make better software? How do you make your system better? This is the data set we recommend using. You can also, technically, I do say you are allowed to look at other data sets, but again, if you look at other data sets, you will have less in common with your classmates. You'll be able to bounce ideas off of them. But this data set is financial. We know all companies have to deal with money. That's why we like it. It also definitely parallels very well with citizens. This data set, if you can tell right here, is a half a gig file. Any guesses how big this file might be? If it's almost a full half a gig.
4 million entries.
Not bad. Any too low.
47 or 4.7 million entries.
Still too low.
Damn.
1 billion entries.
Way too high.
Let's go 500,000, 500,000.
I'll give it. Hoping the system would load, but
That's way too low.
Yeah, we were at the 4.7 million range.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I said 4 million.
500 million?
500 million. That's
too high.
no 5 million.
5
5
million.
million.
Still too low.
6 million.
A little bit more.
Wait, a mega.
6.5 million.
It's around
10
6.5
million.
million. 6 million. We'll say 6 million. It's above 6 million, below 7 million. It's around 6 million record. God damn you. Why are you not showcasing stuff?
Unable to show preview. Request timed out. Dang.
Damn you. You're messing with me now. Damn it. That sucks. Well, that sucks. I can't showcase it now, but anyway, it's about 6 million records. 6 million unique records in there.
Wild.
Yep. They range from everything from time, what type it is, their transactions from one account to another account. And they also include an is fraud account item as well, an is flag fraud. So there's a lot you can do with this item. The minimum thing you need to do here is we'll take this file, CSV file, from the server that the system is running. And when you hit a certain URL, it's going to trigger the system to upload this CSV file into the database. That means you have to process file in a efficient manner that processes it quickly. Why 6 million? Well, how many tweets does Twitter go through a day?
I think 5 million.
1
You
billion
underestimate.
tweets.
A billion? You think so?
You gotta take into account the whole world, not the United States.
500 million. 500 million.
That is wild.
Each day, 500 million tweets go out.
Wow.
3,500 tweets per minute. What is wrong with society?
That was not the.
What is
that was
that?
not the-
That's 350,000 tweets a minute, not 3,500.
Oh, yeah, even worse.
350,000. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. What good is that stuff?
And that number is going down because Trump got banned.
Oh, yeah. 34, what is it? 345,000.
21 million an hour. So think about this, 21 million an hour. And there it is. There's the per minute. So yeah, it's 347,000 per minute, roughly, on average,
Wow.
per minute. So that means if I give you the 6 million data set, that means you gotta multiply that by what, 5?
That's like what?
1 million, so
3, 7, 21,
hours. I think,
7, 21.
hours?
That's like 10 minutes of Twitter.
There you go. I'm giving you 18 hours of tweets. This is our data set. So our data set, 18 hours of tweets.
Oh, that seems like a lot. I think it's not that long, is it?
It's been a decent time. It's at least it's a little less than it's less than a day, but still more than a day almost. But again,
350,000. So 350,000s. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because it's 6 million.
24 hours.
Okay, never mind. I'm good. I'm
Oh
good.
wait, I did that wrong. Oh no, these are all divisions. That actually does do
Yeah.
PEMDAS. PEMDAS works. Okay, good. Yeah, think about it roughly. I'm giving you 18 hours of tweets to process as quickly as you can. So think about how fast Twitter must process data. They can process 6 million data sets, and they've got to be able to process that in like a minute or so, like a minute or less. They can. And actually, we have one student right now with the record. She processed it in less than, I think, under 5 seconds. All 6 million data sets. So that was Brashali. Her system is up available, so you can look at some of the tools she used. I wouldn't try to read the code, but you can look at some of the tools she mentioned in hers. So you are allowed to look at others to get inspiration on what to look into, what to research. Don't look at the code, but you can look at the tools and get inspired of what items you might want to use. A lot of the lessons we've been doing, the self-teach lessons, are focused around this item. So batch processing, you remember I heard. The reading a file that we did, you need to read a file, right? So the lessons that I gave you guys were focused around this system. So do be aware of that. Things I had you guys look into were definitely focused around this. SQL, all those things. So this is why we're having you do that data set. You're gonna, so again, even think about this. People know how big Citizens is, right? This is a pretty big bank, right? It's a bank.
Mhm.
How many transactions do you think they got to go through a day?
Citizens is a huge.
You don't even want to know. I used to work there.
There's
At least
David.
millions,
Perfect.
At least-
We heard it from David. I don't actually know because I don't think that's public data, but
millions, billions, something like
yeah, you
that.
got to think about it. They're not that far off from Twitter, I'm sure. People are buying stuff every couple seconds, I'm sure, right?
Well, yeah, we're not just talking about, well, if you're only talking about like web transactions, like as far as like internet's concerned, you're looking in the about, I would say right by now, 1.5 billion because of the way they did organic growth, which is bank speak for, oh, you've got a nice, couple of banks, we're going to buy them all, So that's how they have a connection from all the way from the tip of Maine all the way down to the tip of Florida.
Yep.
They
So,
bought
yeah,
all the
you gotta
banks
think
and
about it.
put down.
Banks are just as massive a thing. We're buying stuff on a regular basis. Every small transaction that everybody does, they're buying a stick of gum that they use a credit card on. Every time you swipe an ATM card, a debit card, or anything like that, anytime you go to the bank and access the ATM or transfer money between things, anytime you move money around through PayPal, banks are hitting to get a lot of transactions too. So data is a thing. So that's something you want to keep in mind. I believe that the data set here is supposed to be mimicking a couple days worth of information. This is like a couple weeks worth of information. We'll be mimicking a couple weeks of information from a, where was it? I said the location somewhere in Sweden. So not a big country, not like America, not big like America. This is not a giant country. So it's replicating a bank in Sweden. So that's why we're doing this data set. This is going to help you be able to prepare for data-driven items and to, again, evaluate your improvements. So your first thing should be to do is actually not to try to import this data quickly. It's just import the data and then track how long it took. Then use some techniques to try to speed that process up. You talked about JavaScript has both multi-threading and batch processing. Maybe one of those, both of those, something in conjunction. Trying those things and being able to showcase what the best option was, and using Git efficiently so that you can then try going the multi-threading branch, see how it works, then undo and try the batch processing branch and see if that works better, and try some other techniques. You actually are supposed to do some research in this as well. I gave you some techniques, but you can also find others as well. And I'm pretty sure that's how Vaishali actually managed to get the time she did. She looked at other things on top of this. We would love if you guys get it hosted on a system. We know that can be difficult with pricing and stuff, so we're not forcing that. But if you have the time to look into it, go for it. And then this is the other big thing, microservices. What is microservices? My favorite example. So the applications you've been building right now, everything you've been building works something like this. You have a browser that goes to the server that accesses a server. And you can search that site, you can buy things on it, make payments, and you can review and rate those things. So let's say someone comes in and starts attacking the payment system, trying to hack it and get into the system. And so it takes down the payment. So the payment system then throws an error. And it takes down the server. What does that mean for everything else? What does that mean for the site?
It
There's
would,
no processing going on.
It's dead, right? The whole system's dead, right? Everything's down. The site is just unreachable. You go there and the site's like, hey, we're down. Not great, right? Not great. At the same time, let's say you've done a sale. Let's say you're doing a special. You're doing a sale on a certain item, and so people are hitting the payment system like crazy. So we need to spin up another server. We need to spin up this whole system. Meaning we have to spin up the whole process, the whole application on another instance, on another server. Even though no one's really using our review system or our search system right now, they're just paying for something. They're just buying this one product. And so our payment system is getting overloaded. We're having to spin up an entire server of this size for each time that we get that overload and on that service process. That can be kind of pricey. Well, let's go down a bit. This is the microservice architecture. We have a gateway, which is where the person reaches out, and this sends back the user interface. This sends back the front end, like the React. This responds back with the React, and it's also potentially, and it could be a separate item. So gateways can provide the front end, but it also doesn't have to. You can have another service, another server that the person goes to gets the front end, and the front end reaches out to the gateway. The gateway reads the request and says, okay, where is this request going? Oh, they're trying to search for a project, for a product. Well, let me send that request to the search system. The search system will search the database, find the product, sends it back, which then goes back to the browser. And the browser displays the results. Now the person found a product, they want to buy it, they put in their cart, they send the process, the payment, that goes through, comes down to the payment process, this process sends back, right? Let's say that person now wants to review something that they bought before. Well, potentially we might have to go into the system, go into payment and say, hey, what did they buy? Go through, yep, they bought this, so we're gonna apply the review and rating system that they did purchase, or more accurately, they review something. They reviewed it, we wanna know, well, they reviewed this. Did they buy this item or are they just reviewing it? Because I know you've seen on some of the sites, they have a thing called a verified buyer. I think Amazon has that. This would be similar to that. So the request comes in saying, I'm rating this steel mug that I got. So the rating comes in, pops out the review ratings. The system says, oh, wait, did this person buy it or not? I want to know if this person bought it so I can apply it. So I'm going to ask the payment system, hey, did this user buy this mug? It comes back, yes. Okay, I'll put that flag on there that they're an authorized buyer, that they're a verified purchaser. If it comes back, no, I don't put it on. If at any moment I reach to the payment system and it's down as the rating system, it says, nope, I'm not available, I'm dead, something attacked me. I can still submit that rating, just not mark it, not flag it. I don't have to flag it as a verified purchase. I can still accept that rating though, right? And if I have a really complex system, I can have a system in between that'll wait for the payment system to come back up and then ask again. And let me know, hey, by the way, I got your answer for an advanced system. But yeah, any of these go down. So let's say our example again, someone starts hitting the payment system, trying to hack into it. Or let's say someone starts trying to just do what's called a SQL injection to our search system. They start typing in SQL code into our search bar and just rapid fire it to try to see if they can get anything to trigger. And they can overload it. A DDoS attack, even that, just constant sending requests to it. So our search system dies down, it falls apart, it breaks. People can still buy things, they can still leave reviews. They just can't search for things. The search bar doesn't work. They type something in, it says, unfortunately, we can't find it. We can't search for things right now. You can still browse. So we can browse through the category system. They'll click on categories, browse manually, go through their previous orders, and find things that way. And they can still buy stuff. Our site isn't dead. We can still do business, which is one of the key important items, right? Imagine for a second, Amazon went down completely for 1 hour. How much money do you think they would lose?
oh my God,
Right? Yeah. It'd be horrible for them, right?
horrible.
Horrible.
I'm pretty sure, actually, since Google did go down for an hour or two a while back, I'm sure there's an article somewhere explaining how much money Google lost when they were down for that couple hours. I'm sure someone could find it. Feel free. If anyone does the research later, let me know. Let me know if you did find what they may have lost, what the estimated loss of business was for them during that 2 hours last month, the month before they died. They were down. It was in December because it was still 2020 when it happened. So it was in December that it happened. They were down at like 6 o'clock in the morning. They went down. So If anyone finds I'm confident there's an article that says how much money they lost for that, like 1 or 2 hours they were down. If someone finds that, let us know. But we're not going to look for it at this moment. But that's kind of the idea here. And the last example I said, let's say again, we did the sale. And so you have a lot of requests coming into our payment system to buy that one item. Well, if our payment system starts getting overloaded, the server and let's say the CPU is hitting 60, 70% usage, 70% usage, we want to get another system up to make sure we can handle those requests and people aren't timing out. Because if people time out, they might be like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to buy it. People get frustrated very easily and they'll go away. We've already talked about it. Your site took more than 0.4 milliseconds to load. Screw this. Because that was Christian's joke. Like you took more than half a second. I'm not buying it now. Screw it. I'm going somewhere else. You've lost my business. We don't want that. We want people to buy that item. So let's spin up another service. But this time, we only have to spin up the smaller server. We can spin up an extra payment server, not a whole architecture of the whole thing. Instead, lowers some of our costs of load balancing as a larger company. It puts fail safes in place to make sure our website doesn't completely crash. It allows us to more easily scale those systems that need to be scaled. And when we update something, we are updating something only in this piece. And we're not worried if our update here might affect these other two services. These things are isolated and separate, so they are separate. And this actually really falls under the realm of OOP-centric systems. These are part of encapsulation and abstraction. We've encapsulated the search system, we've encapsulated the payment system, and we've encapsulated the review and rating system. And we abstracted away from the review and rating system whether or not someone bought it. Review and rating just says, hey, did this person buy it? I don't know how you can confirm that. Just tell me, did they buy this? Yes, cool. That's abstraction. We're applying some of those OOP-based principles to our systems now. We're separating and pulling things apart so that they work better and that we can easily swap them around. You guys have actually been using microservice architectures on a regular basis and don't even realize it. There's one big one that you guys use on a daily basis. Anyone know what company might be thinking of? Think of a company that has multiple services that you use, that you log in under one account.
Google.
There you go. Yeah, think about it. You log in the same account for YouTube, for Google, for Gmail, for Google Classroom, for your phone, for your browser. You log into all these separate services that Google provides. And there's services that you don't even know that Google provides.
I can think of another one.
Go ahead.
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon's definitely microservice. Uber is actually microservice. I think we actually have that one here. One of these links here actually talks about Uber's microservice pattern. There's a second one, if you liked it. Nope, not that one. I know we liked it, so I'm pretty confident we kept it. I'll recognize the picture as soon as I see it. No, I think that's a tutorial. That's a walkthrough of it. Come on. No, not that one. Hey, did I not see that one?
Oh wow, you just pulled up Axway. That's funny.
Why?
Because I deal with that company all the time.
Oh, that's crazy. Where's the picture? I'm mostly on the picture right now. I'm gonna load. Hold on, let's do this quick. Let those load in the background. So, Microsoft, so now you're gonna be building, and just to make things clear for you guys, it's not as scary as you think it is. So all a microservice does, and all the gateway does, is you send an HTTP request to the gateway. That gateway then reads that HTTP request and decides where this item goes. Well, how do I communicate from one server to another server? What's one way I can do it?
Okay, one server to another server.
Yeah. Well, how did you can do that? But you guys you're overcomplicating it. Didn't you just communicate to a server from your computer? By sending that request to the microservice, didn't you just go from computer to computer?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to communicate from the gateway to another server, what could I do?
Send a request.
I could send another HTTP request, right?
Mhm.
And so that's a very basic microservice. Now, yes, you could do other more direct channels through like socketing and IP communications and through local area network connections and stuff like that. But really, all you need to do is actually make them all HTTP servers, make them all RESTful servers. And a majority of them do that. So your gateway will just accept the HTTP request and then send another one out. Think back to JavaScript we did, where we would accept HTTP requests with Express, but then we would send them with Axios, right? Our React system would have Axios, but Express systems can also have Axios on them too. Your backend server can have Axios and can send requests. So your HTTP server can send additional requests. You guys have actually done that before. When you have a backend server that then pulls from an API, right? If your front end didn't pull from the API, but your backend did, that's kind of a microservice design right there. Your server goes down, that API is still running, right? If that API goes down, your server is still running and still replying, just saying, hey, I couldn't get the data. That is the basic gist of a microservice architecture. It's just a bunch of RESTful API servers responding to each other and listening to each other. The front end just knows the IP address of the gateway. That's it. Now there are more complicated setups. You can have you can have a microservice that actually manages and identifies and has a server identifier, a microservice identifier that can identify them services and locate where they are. And so that the gateway doesn't need to know the endpoints either. The gateway doesn't need the URL of the microservices. It can use what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, crap. I'm having a brain fart of the name. A discovery server, there it is. It has a discovery server that when a gateway goes up, it pings out to the discovery service server saying, hey, here I am, here's where I am. And so the discovery service keeps track of that. The gateway says, hey, I need to access this service. The discovery service says, here's where you're sending it, and sends it over. It's just another middleware. So there's a bunch of more complicated ways you can set this up to secure these systems. Because that's the other last thing I forgot to mention with this design right here. I don't know why I closed it. Why did I do that? No, I didn't. Look at this. The client browser only ever has a communication with the microservice. It doesn't know where on the internet these three items are. So there's no direct connection to the payment. So actually having a hacker hit the payment server directly is near impossible. It's only attacking it through the gateway. So we can at any time just tell the payment system or the gateway to stop accepting responses from that IP. And the payment server is still completely safe. And the databases are even behind that. So think of how far through the system that data is protected. It's nice and hidden on the database. A lot of systems, you actually have the URL or the attentive in the IP of that point of attack for a lot of small products, for a lot of small services. You know exactly where this server is in the internet. As you're hitting it exactly, and there's a good chance that the data is on that server. It's running a local SQL device. It's not separate, right? It's dangerous. So this is also more secure. So that's why microservice architectures are really exploding and why we're making this the capstone problem. But I need to make sure it's very clear. When I first heard about this, when I first built one, I got scared. I was like, what the hell am I building? But you're not getting it. As long as you can build a RESTful API Java application, you're good. That's it. And what I will say is you guys are open and willing and are allowed to actually mix and match a Node.js server with a Java server as one of your microservices. You could actually do one microservice as a Node.js server if you want. So if you prefer to use Node.js for your authentication, go for it. But yeah, but then have the data processing being done by Java, 100%. But you definitely need to have the majority of your microservices being Java-based. Let me give you an example microservice. Oh, I have to pull that one up. That's the complicated one. Ignore that one. That's the smaller one. I'm also going to pull up the other one that was yeah. Here we go. This is the one I built for the students. So this is an example one you could build. It's actually more than you need to build. I'm just going to look at these three right here. But this is something we can look at. So you have a gateway. I recommend an authorization microservice. This actually isn't it, but I can still use this. Authorization microservice. And this one could use a Mongo database if you want. It can also have the profiles there if you want. You would then have a service that is your data processing service. This is where you're going to send the ping to say, hey, start processing the data on the file that's on your server. So keep in mind, it's very rare that you would send a file of this size across the network via a form. Most likely you would FTP it or shared network drive it to the server and then just trigger this and then hit a route or do something to trigger the import. You wouldn't actually be sending this over the network via a form on a website. You wouldn't go to a website, select the file and send it. It's too big for that. It's very easy to be lost or timed out. So that's why we're not having you do that. You're just going to put the file on the server and then hit an endpoint to trigger the upload. What I would recommend is that it be a endpoint that is secure, that the person needs to be logged in to trigger it. So what would happen is that the system would come to here, go to the data processing service. That service will ask the authorization, hey, is this key valid? Authorization says, yep, you're good. That's a person, that's a valid login. And then it starts the processing. And that there's one final one. One final microservice I recommend. This would be like a reporting microservice where you can pull data out of it. So the minimum you guys need to do for this project in order for this to be considered valid, you have to have the gateway, you have to have an authorization system, and you have to have the data processing microservice. Those are required. The data has to be uploaded to the database. The extra items that you can do to make this project stand out, we lost somebody, by the way, I just noticed. Who did we lose? Amelia? I think we lost Amelia.
Yeah, he said he's having network issues in Slack.
Okay, cool. All right, we got the recording, we're good. So those are the minimum items you need. Gateway, authorization, and data processing. The things you can do extra, not just take the data from the file and put it in the database. That's simple. What would be more extensive is by not just taking the data, but running algorithms or running processes to glean additional data out of it. What do I mean by that? For simple example, how many transactions a day? What's an average transactions per day? What's the most busiest time of the day? Because there's ticks on there which represent an hour of the day. So 0 is the 0th hour of a day, 1 is the 1th hour of a day, da 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 da. So you're able to break that down and say, well, what's the most busiest hour of a day? What are some of for all the time that we have available? What's the average transaction size for the whole record? So what additional data can you pull from it? And there's tools out there that you can use to try to see what kind of data you can pull from these things. So there's a lot you can do to make this project above and beyond. If you have an idea of how to make this go beyond, let me know. One of the items you can do is actually, if you've been interested in it, you could actually even create an AI branch. Do a Python microservice, do a Python server, Python server that does AI machine learning. If you want, I have a resource for that. I have a tutorial for that can actually teach that. Because if you remember correctly, the data set had a is fraud column. And so you could do a system where you're teaching the system how to detect a fraudulent transaction, or at least flag one as possible fraud. So you could use this data set to train a model to detect potential fraud. So there's a lot you can do with this. Like I said, the minimum you need to do, gateway service, authorization service, and data processing. That's it. But there's a lot more you can do with this that can just make this item pop way more on your resume. The more you add to this, the bigger this project becomes. This is the project you're going to go in and be like, look what I can do. So take this and go. I'll also say you are allowed and are actually encouraged to work with others in peer program on this. Build this together. I'm not meaning share code and actually do the same GitHub, but work together with people. Share resources, share information. Be like, hey, look what I found. I want to see these things in the class. Be like, hey guys, check this out. I found this about batch processing and how to process data. Hey, can someone connect with me and let's code together for an hour? This is something I cannot stress enough. Work together on this. You are not to work on this solo. If you do, I don't think you guys can get it. I'm not confident. Okay, I won't say that you're not confident, but some of you could definitely do it in could definitely potentially do this in 30 days on your own. Totally possible, maybe even less. But I want to say that it's going to be difficult. You're going to run into problems. If you guys work alone on this, you're going to not have as good of a project as you can if you do partner up and do work with others. And don't keep going to the same person every single time, by the way. You'll get the same feedback every single time. You should be meeting with at least, during the course of this final capstone project, you should meet with everyone in your classroom at least once to go over something and work with them on. I personally recommend that. So that's a personal thing. Again, I can't force it on you guys, but I can definitely 100% say that this is going to make the project easier. Work with each other, review things together, learn together. You're not going to be a solo developer at the companies you're going to. You're going to be part of a team. So, any questions on the project? As of now, what I do want to say, by the way, this document I will be giving out to the class. I'm going to be putting it in the Slack, so you'll be allowed to review it. I'll be giving it as a uneditable. I recommend you make a copy so you can add notes, tweak it around. There's a bunch of resources on here, so you can see the big data. There's more here. There's more items you can read about on the gateway. There's a search option you can build, reporting microservices, other recommendations of things you can build. I should probably add the other ones that I mentioned because we switched it a bit. So I'll add the authorization microservice, by the way. I'll switch this up after class tonight. I'll make sure to update these. We switched it between the last group and coordinate morning. We kind of readjusted this to fit better. And then I showed here, this is one recommendation you could do, AI fraud detection, other things you could do to really advance it. And again, remember this. 1 hour to save the world. It's been 55 minutes to find the problem, only 5 minutes to find the solution. Research. But I also want to say, start building next week, honestly. Start building it. Don't watch all the tutorials right now and then start building it because you're going to forget some of the tutorials and have to go back and watch them again. Start building the gateway immediately. I would say that really you guys should have the gateway done. I would say not next Friday, but the calendar. That'll be easier than me just trying to pick an arbitrary weekday. I would say that you guys should be able to have the gateway done probably by the 2nd. The gateway should be done by then. And by that time, you should be on a run where you can be able to complete the authorization by the next week and finish the requirements by the 18th. That way, by the time we're doing resumes, your capstone project is done. And that's the maximum time, I would say. Again, that's maximum time. If you work with partners, if you work with teams and you work together on this, this can be done in a couple of weeks. Definitely can be done. If you plan it right, prioritize, pull apart the pieces and work on it alongside your other projects, this thing is not that difficult. Do not let it scare you. Do not get daunting. Ask questions, watch the videos from the classmates, pay attention to the tutorials, everything you have. You actually are, as soon as we get Monday's tutorial out of the way, you have everything you need to build a gateway. So Monday's tutorial that does the RESTful API with the database, because you actually don't need the database actually for the gateway. You have that. You have everything you need. The only extra piece you need is how do you, from Java, make an outgoing HTTP request via Spring Boot. You know how to accept HTTP requests, but in Spring Boot, how do you send an HTTP request? It's the only thing you haven't learned, and the only thing I'm not teaching in the class that you have to learn on your own. But again, use each other, find each other out. If one of you finds a resource on how to do it, share it in Slack. But I highly recommend don't wait for a classmate to do it, all right? Everyone here should be looking, whoever finds it first is gonna be the hero. But don't be like, someone else will find it. Don't do that. This is gonna hurt you in the long run. My whole thing, again, when I did my stuff, I always been like, you know what? I want to stay ahead just in case I fall behind, just in case I hit a dead point, everyone's catching up to me. If you have the mentality though, everyone will stay with you. If you're one of those people like, oh, I'll just let someone else get ahead, they'll be able to help me out. You're gonna have an issue, especially during the interview, and especially during the job. Because you're gonna eventually be the person that is the one that's supposed to lead, and you're so used to following behind others. So don't always be the one relying on others to find the data. You want to make sure at least once throughout this project, you're the person sharing something. I think that's enough for my soapbox. So I'm going to share out this document, read over it, go over it, review it. I'm going to make a couple changes as well, though, before I send it out. This is the final 30 days. This is your final rush. Put all your energy into it, get to it. On Monday, before we start the lesson, I'll allow people to ask any follow-up questions they came up with the weekend. So like I said, review this over the weekend. And over the weekend, try to build something. Try to build a Java gateway, honestly. See if you can do it over the weekend. Definitely possible. Definitely do it. It just accepts HTTP requests. The simplest gateway you could build, just to throw it out there as a challenge for anybody who thinks they want to try to do it over the weekend, a easy gateway for Java would be to accept a GET request with a parameter, reach out to some other API that you know exists online, get the data and send that back. That's a gateway. You just built a gateway. All the gateway does is accept an HTTP request, reaches out to an external source for data, and sends it back. So find some sort of open API out there, build a Java RESTful, build Java Spring Boot application that accepts the request, asks for data from that API, and sends it back to the front end, to Postman. And you've technically built a gateway. Not bad, right? Not as difficult as it might have sounded, John. Does that sound doable?
That sounds simple.
Yeah, right? What I said at first, you're like, oh, what is all this? It's not that bad. Simplify everything. Look at things as simply as you can. Break it down to the simplest thing. How do I do this? Well, I want to take a data, I want to go get data from somewhere else. Oh, I already can do that. I've done that before. I just need to do it with Java now. All right. That's my challenge for everyone for the weekend. Except, Christian, your challenge, of course, is to do the lesson. If you do both, go for it. But your focus, of course, is the lesson. If you can do this as well, go for it. But everyone else, your challenge, make a Spring Boot application that can reach out to an external API. There's a ton of them online. Like I said, my favorite is OpenNewsAPI. I think it's OpenNewsAPI.org. What is it? NewsAPI.org. This is my favorite because it's 100% free. I think it is actually. It's the free one. Hold on. Yeah, free. NewsAPI.org is a completely free open API for you guys to use during a developer. It only works on local hosts. That's why it's free. So you can't have it be from an actual site, but yeah, as long as you're pulling stuff from local host, it works. So you can test your Java API with this. There's a bunch of others out there. If you know an API that's open and free to use, go for it. But try it out, get something working over the weekend, and we'll see what people can figure out by Monday. And if you're stuck though, and the reason why I'm telling you guys to do this is that if you get stuck over the weekend, start asking for help before Monday. All right? And because it's the final 30 days, I'm going to be harder on you guys this next 30 days. So be ready for it. Put the effort in. All right?
This seems easy. Help.
Cliff, what's
Yes.
What's going on with that document that Arno's putting out for the tuition cost?
Right. I have that. Let me go ahead and put those in Slack right now.
Gotcha.
Jesus. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I literally have the file, so let me go ahead and throw those in Slack right now.
And then if no one else is sticking around after, I just got a question or two I just got to talk to you about.
That's fine. Anyone else have any questions they want to ask now, or are we good?
Good.
Oh, we're good.
All right, everybody. I will see you all on Monday.
All right. See you Monday.
All right.
It's a busy weekend. Get stuff
Have a good
working.
weekend.
Close. There we go. They're up.
Nice. Just want to review that. In regards to that, is that so when it
Oh, hold on.